What a week! What a week it has been. I hope you have had an absolutely amazing week. Welcome to the Resilient Show this Friday morning on Arrow FM in the Wairarapa, 92.7 FM, channel 31 on Wairarapa TV, and there's going to be some exciting stuff appearing on the telly this morning. Or if you are anywhere on or off planet Earth, jump on to www.arrowfm.co.nz and you will find the Resilient Show. So here we are. We're in December. Where did that come from? So today's show is titled, What Did We Learn? And it's dedicated to everyone who is looking back to see how far we've come. That's today's show. It's going to be a belter. We actually have a member of the British aristocracy joining us this morning. That's our guest. I know. Look, thank me, drop me a message, whatever you want to do. Actually, if you want to drop me a message, stu@studarling.com. Find me on Facebook, find me on Messenger. Yeah, drop me a message. I love hearing from you when the show's live because, it just adds a little bit more to it. But yes, we have got a member of the aristocracy joining us, and she's actually going to be joining us throughout the show because what we're going to do this week is we're actually going to talk about what have we learned over the last 12 months? What have we seen? Because those are the hints and tips that are going to give us some ideas of what 2022 might look like. We've said before, don't wait until the 31st of December to do your New Year's revolutions. Don't do that. Yes, I did say revolutions. Don't wait. Actually start thinking about it now. The 1st of January is only a date that we decided on back in the Roman era that it was going to be the beginning of the year. So don't wait that long. Let's think about getting started. But where do we start? That's what we're going to talk about after we've played a little bit of music. Now, this is the music that... Look, at this time of year, I get it. I was talking to people yesterday. In fact, I wasn't talking to people yesterday because they were texting me saying, we're in the middle of our Christmas lunch. I can't get back. Can't, that's how it sounded, can't quite get back to you until tomorrow. We know what was actually happening. This was what was going on.
Set me on a bender with nothing left to lose. I
It always does that, doesn't it? It always just stops. What a great track, Liquid Lunch. Have you had a liquid lunch? Maybe a Christmas do. Now, we were talking to a student in the Rediscovering Resilience programme who has just started 28 days of not only liquid lunches, but liquid meals. Liquid meals for 28 days. And the fascinating thing when we were talking to them about it was they started this week. So what does that mean come Christmas? That means that they're going to have, I don't know, pureed turkey or pureed ham. But it's just an example of the fact that we don't have to wait until the 1st of January. We don't have to wait any time. If you've got an idea to get started on, well, let's get started on it straight away. Why? Because the motivation's high. The motivation is so high when we get started because we're excited about it. We can imagine what the end result is going to look like. And it's not until we get into day 3 and day 4 and do you know what, I really can't be bothered, and that's when we really need to dig in and find that inner strength. We need to find that power within us to drive through until it becomes a habit. Remember, 30 days for a new habit, so you've got to work your way through it. So a great time to get started is when you're excited about it. Do not wait. But how do we get started? Where should we get started? How should we get started? Well, if we look back, we begin to see the signs. We begin to get signals as to the things that we enjoy doing, maybe the things we should be doing, the people we would like to be, the people we believe we should be. We believe, not other people, the people we believe we should be. This is self-concept. This is moving into, this is growing. Self-esteem is living in the now, eating a Mars bar after you've been to the gym because, hey, I went to the gym, yay! Self-concept is where we are moving to, and how do we get there? And that's what we're going to talk about on the show today. We're actually going to work our way through most of the 8 pillars of wealth. And I know we've done it before, but we're going to do it from a concept of looking back at the previous year. So we're going to dive into, how was money last year? What about our hobbies? What about relationships, friends and family? What about our mission? What about personal development? What about spirituality? What about health? Awesome. I got all 8 of them in a winner. And I'm not going to do this alone, because we shouldn't do anything alone, really. I have got, as I say, I've got a member of the British aristocracy joining me this morning. And I'm going to actually start by asking how all this came about. Lizzie, good morning.
Morning.
So do tell, how did you become the Lady Elizabeth?
I think it was a name given to me in your last posting in the military. When you took command of the school, the regimental sergeant major decided I needed to be called something and came up with the Lady Elizabeth.
So it wasn't actually the Queen that did it at all?
No, I'm afraid not.
So you're not actually royalty?
Not really.
Oh, bloody hell.
I just sound posh.
And you've been told that plenty times since moving to New Zealand. So you're not named after the police boat down in New Zealand either?
No, that was named after me, I think.
Right, okay, so here we go. So, my guest on the show this morning is the Lady Elizabeth, or my wife, or my best friend. Just Liz. Oh, not best friend. We had an argument last night. Yeah, it's maybe not the best way to do a radio show together, but I think we're through that now. Are we? Right, okay, we're through the argument. That's cool. We're just going to work our way through, and as a couple, we work together. We've been together for over 25 years, so we're going to work through some of the stuff that we've been challenged by, some of the stuff that's excited us this year, and maybe give some hints and tips to everyone listening, whether it's you and a partner. Hints and tips as to what you maybe can be looking back on 2021. Look, it's been a success. We survived. I know when you look at the news and you look at social media, we're thinking 2021's been a pretty crappy shit year. Well, maybe not all of it. Yeah, look, it's been different. It's been different. And I think we've got to go back to the year 539 AD, so like 1500 years, to find the worst year to be a human being. So it wasn't 2021. There were good bits. we sometimes got to just scratch a little bit deeper to find the good bits of 2021, but they are there. And that's what we are going to talk about when we come back after this track. Specially chosen this one, because if we look back and we identify the great bits, then we can look forward to see the great bits that are likely to arrive in 2022. Whatever's going on, we can find the great bits. That means that we can walk into the next year with high hopes. High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. It's not the first time we played that. We actually played that. That was Monica Bloom's first track when she came on the show. I hope you dived out and got a copy of her book for Christmas. Have we ordered it yet? Sorry, have we ordered it yet?
Not yet. No.
Okay, so we need to do a little bit of work there. Right, we're going to dive straight in. As I say, the wealth matrix has 8 different columns in it, 8 different pillars, to actually realise that wealth is so much more. We talk about wealth and it's just money, but wealth is so much more than money. If success is only based in success, then based in money, then we're not actually going to lead very happy lives. But we're going to dive in at the deep end. This one's a doozy. This is the one that always gets a great amount of questions and concerns. Intimate relationships. We've been married for 25 years. So, Lizzie,
yeah.
Why did you hang around?
Because it was fun.
Ah, okay. Well, if we look back at the last 12 months, yeah, we got to year 25, but yeah, year 25 has been interesting. Have we built a foundation over that time?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you talk to people and you mention intimate relationships, people immediately sort of clam up because they think you're going to ask them about their sex life. But
No.
there's far more to intimate relations than just the sex side. It's the whole relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's we've had pushback when we've introduced this, and people have said they don't think it's appropriate. We've had people saying when they've scored themselves against the intimate relationship, they've scored highly or not well at all, and that's created a bit of division. That some have decided to go and do something about it, and others have been comfortable that. Their score is low, but actually, do you know what? That's okay for where they are. Should we talk more about our intimate relationships? Our closest, let's call it our closest relationships. Should we talk more about them publicly?
Probably should do. I mean, because that way it makes people think about it. If it's never spoken about, then it almost becomes a taboo subject or something that maybe is inappropriate or shouldn't be spoken about, whereas actually we should embrace all aspects of our life.
Yeah, completely. Couldn't agree more. I think it was. I think it was when Mark Shearer, Mark from Encompass Life. We both know Mark. I think when he was on the show, we were talking about if you don't have pride in something, you have shame in it. And if you're not talking about something, it means you're not proud of it. And I cannot imagine a time, and I'm going to try not to tear up, but I cannot imagine a time that I wouldn't talk about you and our relationship. Because, well, that helps other people do it too.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we've been together, 27, 28 years, married 25. So
2 months of happiness.
So it's that sort of, we're used to each other. We don't think for each other, but we know each other pretty well. We know when to give each other space and when we know when to lean in. So
yeah, and I think knowing when to give people space. When we know one another really, really well, as you get to in close relationships, we begin to anticipate the behaviour, the style, the characters that we have, and then when you're stressed, that shifts. And I know that, we have been through, well, tell the story. What have we done in the last week?
It's been quite a stressful week. We've sold our house.
Yeah, because 5 weeks ago we decided to move to Nelson and bought a house in Nelson. So, it's classed as one of the most, other than losing a family member, as in not you just lost them because they went for a walk in the park, a family member dying. Moving house or buying a new house, moving a house, it is the most stressful time of life. Has it been that stressful?
I think when we look back, probably not. And I mean, we were counting up the other night, and I've lived in about 32 houses in my life, which is quite good.
You vagrant.
And I know you've lived in a fair few too.
Peripatetic living, I call it.
So, yeah, this decision, and I mean, it's strange because obviously when we built the house that we're living in now, and yes, it was the dream house, but actually even when we were building it, I did wonder whether it would be the ever after house, and maybe we're that sort of couple that won't ever have a ever after house. We'll just keep moving. But that's what life in the military does for you.
Yeah, completely. And your whole life has been, well, up to the last decade, your whole life has been military because you were a military brat, as they're called back in the UK. So if we were to take the last 12 months, what do you feel is the biggest learning that you're going to take away from in terms of our relationship? And I can say our intimate relationship. What's the biggest learning you've taken away or that you're going to take into 2022?
There's been quite a change because obviously I gave up my career as a midwife to come on board and actually work with you rather than just being there supporting you. Mm-hmm. So that's brought in a different slant to our relationship. And yeah, it takes a little bit. And I know you spoke to somebody else on the show during the year. I think actually it was...
What were we talking about?
Mark Rawlings.
Yes, Retirement Transformed.
With your wife. And actually, you spoke to Libby and Dane as well about working with your partner.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to find that space, haven't we? And that's my biggest takeaway in terms of our relationship. Because I mean, yeah, we've often joked that we stayed married for such a long time because I spent half the year going to war, and living away. So much as we've been married for 25 years, we've been together for 15. So there is that side of things, and that transition to not only working together but working from home. We don't go out the door to work in the morning, and it's what I've dreamt of for years. And then it hits you, and you go, "Fuck, is this actually what I'm looking for?" And we've got you. You're right. I mean, you said you've got to create space in relationships, but you've got to create space for the different bits of that relationship. We need mummy or daddy time with the kids. We need time as friends, compadres. We need that intimate time. And if you're working together, you've got to compartmentalize what working together is, rather than it all just being a mash together, because that's when the stress really builds. And then throw on top of that, buying a house and moving to another island, it just adds to that stress. So we've got to give one another time, but individually. Because an intimate relationship can be with ourselves as well. We mustn't forget we've got to look after the relationship we have with ourselves. So we've got to give ourselves time for all of those different parts of our lives. Because when we do that, we actually get to make our own kind of music.
Nobody can tell ya there's only one song worth singing. They may try and sell ya, 'cause it hangs them up to see someone like you. But you gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. You're gonna be nowhere, the loneliest kind of lonely. It may be rough going just to do your things, the hardest thing to do. But you gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. So if you cannot take my hand, and if you must be going, I will understand. 'Cause you gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. You gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings
Make your own kind of music, Paloma Faith. That was actually one of the Lady Elizabeth's choices of music for this morning. Why'd you choose it?
Because it's what you've got to be. You've got to make your own music to make your life. You've got to live the life you want.
Totally, and we're dancing around the studio in this one. I mean, we normally talk about doing a dance at the beginning of the week, and that's when maybe we didn't feel like doing a dance at the beginning of this Friday if you had a liquid lunch yesterday. But Paloma Faith is always one that causes us to dance around the studio and around about the house on a Friday evening, maybe after a glass of wine. Right, so we're moving into we started with the biggie. We started with intimate relationships, but we're going to move to one that actually causes probably the most stress in relationships, or the most stress to ourselves, because we've got to talk about it, guys. Money. We got to talk about, well, yeah, I know that money doesn't make you happy, but not having it certainly makes you unhappy. And, there was a study done in the US that said, once you've earned above a certain amount, I think it was $160,000 US, you didn't get any happier. But there is a point that we struggle. Mostly we struggle because we don't know what's happening to our money. Lizzie, best tip about figuring out how to look after our finances?
Probably look back, actually, and sort of maybe go back 3 months and sort of have a look at your statements and write them down and put them into columns, put them into a table and see what you've actually spent your money on. Because you may find that you're spending $15-20 a week on coffees, or maybe even more, looking at the price of coffees.
Yeah.
And it mounts up, those sort of 3 or 4 coffees that you buy during the day. So
Yeah, totally. And why look back rather than forward?
because then you can look back and you can make plans to where you can save.
So looking back is fact.
Yeah.
It has happened. Whereas if we say, I'll be good this month, you might be. You might not have coffees out much. It's like every diet that starts at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning and restarts the following Monday morning because you didn't quite get through lunch. So looking forward means that it's an aspiration, but it's not habit changing. It can be habit changing, but looking back means that it's fixed. And so your Rediscovering Resilience program, how do we teach it?
We teach it in the same sort of way that we do ours. That every month we sit down and we go through our finances and we're totally honest about it and look at how we're doing and where we can make the savings.
Aren't we totally honest about it? Every now and again, I stop, less so now, but I stop at a dairy and pick up a bottle of Coke and maybe a cookie. And I think, well, that's all right. I work hard. That should be all right. Oh, man, when that figure of $6.73 comes up at the beginning of the next month when we're doing our finances, oh, man, you'd think that I'd just stolen the crown jewels or something. It's not quite that bad, but you get to see it. And there's been experiences in our life when we moved last time that we were blowing through our coffee budget and not even thinking about it because we weren't looking. And it wasn't until we did the finances that we went, right, that's where it's gone. And all of a sudden, things become calm. Why do they become calm? Because we're talking about it. Remember, thoughts become feelings. Feelings become words. Words become actions. And that transition from feelings to words is moving stuff, moving all that dross from our subconscious, where we can't do anything about it, into our conscious. So, this last year, this last year, no travelling, and we'll come to travel later on, and figuring out which way's up and looking after finance. Your biggest lesson of this year, looking back in terms of finance, I think it's watching people begin to actually work on their finance. You're watching our students actually look at it and go, wow, this stuff works. And look, however you choose to budget, choose a way. It might be that at the beginning of the month, you decide what you're going to spend in each bucket. How much you're going to spend at the supermarket. How much does your rent or your mortgage cost? Get that in there. What about all your utility bills? What's that going to cost? How much are you going to spend on entertainment? How much are you going to spend on looking beautiful? What was that laugh for? How much are you going to spend on house and garden? And actually put it into the buckets, and then don't spend any more than that, especially in the entertainment bucket and especially in the groceries. Tough time of year to do this, because I know it's Christmas is coming up and we always spend a little bit more. But what a great time of year to actually start thinking about it. So if you've never done it before, try doing it that way. If you're in a space where actually, you've got you're earning and there's maybe a little bit of money left over at the end of the month, and you're in that great position that you're established with your spending. Well, maybe you've got the luxury of reviewing it at the end of the month, because you're reviewing it, you're recognizing where the columns are maybe a little bit higher than usual or a little bit lower than usual, and then you ask the question, why? Remember that glorious question, I wonder why? That glorious question, I wonder why, allows you to actually begin to finance and begin to budget. And what does that give you? That gives you control back. That removes uncertainty from your life just a little bit more. And having more certainty means that we can have what? We can have variety in our lives. So Lizzie stopped talking because when I asked her the last question, she wasn't quite sure the answer, which is fine because it just came out. And yeah, you'd like to think that we planned all of this, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes I just talk. So yeah, I think the biggest lesson for the last 12 months is the importance of budgeting, because then when things change, then when you hit different times, and 2021's been a little bit different, you've got control. And having control gives us far more freedom than nobody likes the word control. Nobody likes being ordered to do stuff. But actually, being ordered to do, having order in our lives is so important, because order in our lives means that we can cope with the chaos. Having certainty in our lives means that we go out and seek fun and variety. If we don't have that certainty, if we're uncertain, we spend all of that time looking for that certainty. So my lesson is for the last 12 months is the importance of understanding where those pennies go, where those cents go, where those dollars go. Because look, I know the first time we do it, it's scary, because you're thinking, oh, really? Do I really want to do this? Yeah, you might not. But actually the freedom that comes from it is huge, and you actually start learning that you probably don't need to spend as much money in some places. That's not where happiness comes from, but that's a completely other subject. But we're going to do, I couldn't bring myself to play Money, 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 either by ABBA or Meryl Streep, much as I love Meryl Streep, and the Lady Elizabeth looks a bit like Meryl Streep. If you're watching the telly on Wairarapa TV, channel 30, is it 31 or 41? You watch it.
I was going to say 39, but
oh,
it changes actually.
Oh, does it? Okay, so if you're in the Wairarapa, just have a look through your channels. If you get to Shine TV, you've probably, you've not gone far enough. Go and look for it. You get to see the Lady Elizabeth on the telly this morning. She's smiling. She's not wearing her glasses. She's got makeup on, and you'll agree she looks a little bit like Meryl Streep. But we're not playing Money, Money, Money. We're actually going to play Ka-Ching by Shania Twain.
We live in a greedy little world that teaches every little boy and girl to earn as much as they can possibly, then turn around and spend it foolishly. We created us a credit card mess. We spend the money that we don't possess. Our religion is to go and blow it all, so it's shopping every Sunday at the mall. All we ever want is more, a lot more than we had before. So take me to the nearest store. Can you hear it ring? It makes you wanna sing. It's such a beautiful thing. Ka-Ching. Lots of diamond rings, the happiness it brings. You live like a king with lots of money and things. When you're broke, go and get a loan. Take out another mortgage on your home. Consolidate so you can afford to go and spend some more when you get bored. All we ever want is more, a lot more than we had before. So take me to the nearest store. Can you hear it ring? It makes you wanna sing. It's such a beautiful thing. Ka-Ching. Lots of diamond rings, the happiness it brings. You live like a king with lots of money and things. Let's swing. Dig deeper in your pocket. Oh, yeah. Come on, I know you got it. Dig deeper in your wallet. a lot more than we had before. So take me to the nearest door. Can you hear it ring? It makes you wanna sing. It's such a beautiful thing. Ka-ching. Lots of diamond rings, the happiness it brings. You live like a king with lots of money and things. Can you hear it ring? It makes you wanna sing. You live like a king with lots of money and things. Ka-ching.
Ka-ching! Shania Twain. My favourite memory of that song was it started playing as I was driving out of the Alps, having been on a military exercise in the Austrian Alps years ago. That came on playing as I was heading off to drive home to northern Germany. It was a time when Shania Twain was the thing, and yeah, it was good times. So now we move to the next pillar, friends and family. You know, we've done the intimate relationship, but you know, we're herd animals. We need people around about us. And things begin to go wrong if we don't have people around about us. So, Lizzie, any friends?
Yes, I'm really blessed. I have loads of friends and many different friends from different sort of situations. And
so, that's a really great point. It's so important that we talk about living in tribes and having our family, but having friends from different backgrounds, different followings. It allows us to understand more. I remember where were we? We were in Canada, and you were a member of the gym.
yes.
And the gym had a coffee shop and a superstore down below.
It was a supermarket, had a gym above it, and it was a ladies only gym. But that part of Canada where we lived, there was a lot of there was quite a large Muslim community and diplomats. So it was a big sort of brand gym, but that particular one was a woman's only, and I went along to it because it was on the way back from dropping the children off at school, and we didn't really know anybody.
Just a small hack before you come to that. When you're trying to create new habits, do an and then. So dropping the kids off at school, and then I went to the gym. You bring it into life. Anyway, sorry, that's an aside. And what sort of people did you meet then?
I met all sorts of people. I mean, I went along to a couple of classes, and then because I went a few times, some of the women turned and recognised me and said, "Oh, come up here, come here." So then we went for a coffee afterwards, and then we had quite a social group and went out for meals, and it was really good because we were from all over the world, actually, all living in Canada for various reasons.
And I think, one of the this wasn't where this conversation was meant to go, by the way. I think, one of the things that fascinated me, at the time when we were living in Canada, I was jumping in and out of Afghanistan every few weeks. There was still fighting going on in Iraq, and the great country of Iran, Persia, sits between Iraq and Afghanistan, and one of your closest friends from the gym was an Iranian. And it just shows that whatever's going on at a macro scale across the world, interpersonal relationships are so important because we begin to understand one another, and we all know that knowledge allows fear to dissipate. So we grow our knowledge. Anyway, back to what we were going to talk about, and we've jumped into it a little bit about being in the military. But you do have lots of friends. And you can talk to people. Bloody hell. We don't go anywhere without seeing a midwife. And I mean anywhere. We were walking the Abel Tasman track at the north end of South Island a few years ago. And Lizzie turned round and there was a midwife. Every time we go to a garden centre or a supermarket, there's a bloody midwife there. It's not surprising there aren't enough midwives in this country. They're all over the place, shopping or walking. Anyway, 8 years, and you've got really your great circles of friends. Surely leaving the UK, how did that all work out for you, friends wise?
Well, when we left the UK, and from our military family and all the friends I'd built up over the years, sort of there, because even though we travelled independently, every few years you might go somewhere and there was somebody that had been there sort of 6 years ago, and so you pick up these sort of friendships. So when we moved to New Zealand, although we didn't know anybody, I knew that I would meet some like-minded people because their midwives are generally of that sort of person. And yes, surely I did. And then we moved over here to the Wairarapa, and I have a great bunch of friends here, and that's going to be the hardest thing about moving, is moving away from these friends. They've just been an awesome bunch to, first of all, I worked with them, and then they all, as they sort of retired, we've kept that friendship sort of going. I keep them young by being the young one. And it's just lovely seeing them out of work, away from the stress of being a midwife and things, and just that confidence that we have as friends, and we all get together and we paint. And one in particular has really sort of come out of her shell, really, and it's just awesome actually offering to host things, and it's just wonderful to see her feel secure in a group of friendships, because we're just like a sisterhood.
It's another whānau, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
and one side, and look, I mean, I will. One side got over my jealousy of it. And look, guys, I'm being honest, and that's where we've got to be. When Lizzie was heading off to spend time with her friends and leaving me alone in the house in my pants, there is that feeling of being left out. But actually, again, you're back to our relationship. It's important that we move in different circles, and watching and hearing the stories about what you guys get up to, and it's so when you go away for the weekend and you go on retreats, and that really builds. And look, I mean, I'm at the opposite end of it. I can count on less than 2 hands the number of people that I would call friends. And they are very, very close friends. Those people, I know that I can pick up the phone. I mean, it's that military sort of friendship that you don't see people for 7 years, and the conversation just continues as if it had been 5 minutes ago you'd seen them. And those are the friendships that I have, and I know that I can reach out to them. But, I mean, that's just character types. But this really fascinates me, that the importance, and when the world is so locked down, I mean, I know that you are, I wouldn't say desperate, but you really want to get back to the UK to see family.
Yeah.
And having friends around about you, it doesn't remove that need, but it cushions that need. Why, with what's gone on in your family over the last really 5 years, why is it important to reflect on having friends when that family dynamic can be so far away?
Well, friends are there. They're like a big warm hug, really. They surround you. They're there to talk to about the bad times and the good times. And as I think you've said, I lost my mum this year. She died back in June, and I'd obviously expected that I would have gone back to the UK. I was supposed to go back 2020, but COVID stopped that, and obviously we don't know how things are going to last. And I just expected that I would be back to sort of help and
transition.
and see her before she died, and then at least be there for Dad. So. And not leave everything to my sister. But unfortunately, that wasn't to be because of travel restrictions. One thing is good, which, I mean, we wouldn't have had years ago, is Zoom and FaceTime. So I've been able to see family, and I was even able to say goodbye to Mum, which gave me some comfort despite being so far away. But then I have my friends and you, of course, to talk to Mum about Mum too. So they're there for the good times and the bad, and they don't judge.
And Luke, thank you for sharing that. I know how challenging this has been. How's your dad faring?
Dad doesn't have friends, and he didn't even when Mum was alive. And Mum used to use Dad as an excuse, and then in later times, Dad used Mum as an excuse not to go out and do things. And now that Mum has gone, he's feeling very alone, and that's the most difficult thing, to try and get him to go out. But he was never a social person beforehand. But now, so he's finding it hard to get through the grief because he doesn't have anybody to really talk to.
So that, I think, is my lesson for 2021. Having watched the rawness of this, slightly apart, but watch the rawness of what's going on. That look, we're all going to grow old. We're all going to die at some point. And generally one of us in those relationships or in those friendships is going to be left behind, and deciding that you need to get a group of friends around about you after that moment of death is too late, guys. As I said at the beginning of this segment, we are herd animals. We need to have people around about us, and it is a basic human need to have people around about us. So don't leave it too late to find your tribe. Don't leave it too late. Don't be frightened to go out there and find where you belong, because there will come a time in life that you really need those people. Not just the fun of popping in for a coffee or going and doing some painting or going gliding, whatever it is you do with your tribe. There will be a time that we're not thinking about yet, that they will be there for you when there may not be any other family left. God, dear, this got a little bit sad at the end. Go on.
It sounds sad, but we have so much laughter. I mean, that's the thing. And laughter is just so good for you. It really is.
Totally.
And for women, it keeps your pelvic floor muscles strong if you're laughing too much.
Excellent. We'll get to health later on. Thanks for that. But thank you for lifting the tone a little bit. But go out there. Go out there. And I've said this so many times on the show. Pick up the phone to someone that you haven't spoken to for a day, a week, a month. Your parents, friends. Pick up the phone to them and say hi. This is the time of year that love comes down. It should be here all of the time, but for some reason it becomes a thing at Christmas. Should be all of the time, guys. Pick up the phone. Send someone a message. Have that conversation that you haven't had, because being undivided is the way that we should all be.
See, Billy got picked on at school for things he couldn't change. He tried his best to play it cool, but in the 7th grade, you either fit right in or you don't fit. That's just the cold hard truth. I wish that I'd have been the friend that Billy never knew. I think it's time we come together, you and I can make a change. Maybe we can make a difference, make the world a better place. Look around and love somebody. We've been hateful long enough. Let the good Lord reunite us to this country that we love's undivided. Yup. You either go to church or you're gonna go to hell. Get a job and work or you're gonna go to jail. I just kinda wish we didn't think like that. Why's it gotta be all white or all black? And when we gonna learn to try on someone's shoes sometimes? That's right. When we gonna start to see from someone else's eyes? I think it's time to come together. You and I can make a change. Maybe we can make a difference, make the world a better place. Look around and love somebody. We've been hateful long enough. Let the good Lord reunite us to this country that we love, undivided. Oh yeah, undivided. Oh yeah. And we're all the same to God, no matter what we get is love. I'm tired of looking left or right, so I'm just looking up. I think it's time to come together. You and I can make a change. Maybe we can make a difference, make the world a better place. Look around and love somebody. We've been hateful long enough. Let the good Lord reunite us to this country that we love, undivided. Come on. Oh yeah, undivided. Oh yeah. You either go to church or you're gonna go to hell. Oh yeah, or you're gonna go to jail. Undivided. We didn't think like that. Why they gotta be all white or all black?
Tim McGraw and Tyler Hubbard, undivided. And look, I mean, too often we talk about the world and being controlled by what's going on in the world at the moment. Well, do you know what? We don't have to be controlled. They control us by dividing us. If we choose our herds, if we choose our friends and our family, and if we choose to grow together, then none of this shit matters. We can actually grow together, we can become divided, and that allows us to live the lives we want to live. Right, okay, so that one got a little bit dark for a little while, but it is an important point to get across, that we do need friends around about us. It's not enough just to have family. But one of the things that I know the Lady Elizabeth's group of friends have done, they've helped her understand some new hobbies. So what happened? How did it all get started?
The hobbies started going along to one of the girls, and I will name her, Carol's house. And Carol does lots of painting, and she does rock painting, and she has us round to her house. It used to be just occasionally on a Saturday, and then we became weekly.
Right, can I just dive in here for a minute? What the hell is rock painting?
Painting on rocks.
That's vandalism. In the British military, you only got to do that if you'd been sent to prison.
That's
and you
if it's
painted
on the wall.
No, that's graffiti.
Yeah.
You remember outside the guardroom, all of the stones were painted white, so everything looked. So you just paint stones white. What's the?
No, pictures and characters, animals, or quite intricate paintings. I've got one sort of Van Gogh style little rock that's I just enjoy. But actually, I mean, it's my first visit to Carol's. I hadn't got a clue, and I sat next to her, and every time she did something I copied, and I came home with these little pebbles that I was really proud of, and now I'm thinking of my own ones. I mean, we still do an awful lot where she will guide us, but it's just awesome. I mean, I'd spent my whole childhood being told that I was rubbish at art, I wasn't the artist, that was my sister, and so you begin to believe that when you're told that, but actually it's progressed, because sometimes I think I want to paint on a canvas. I want that feeling of swishing my arm over a canvas and creating, and my mind, my dreams and my imagination are better than my skills, but it's still pleasurable swishing paint on a canvas.
So I do remember the day that you came home with that first stone and the conversation we had. There are now stones everywhere. I mean, that's actually why we're selling the house.
Yes,
it's got nothing to do with we're selling the house because we need to leave the stones behind. We're going to hide them around the gardens. But you do that actually. You actually share how do you share your hobby with other people?
Oh, I've sent some as presents, but actually occasionally if I'm walking along the track up at Greytown, I'll leave a little pebble in a tree or down on the bench or on the road, something like that. So, and I think last year I did put some at the gates of our neighbours with children. I put some little Santa pebbles, pebbles with a little Santa face on them. So
what's the importance of hobbies? Why do we need hobbies?
Because they help you get just away from everything else. They reduce the stress. You just get so involved with what you're doing, you wipe all the stresses and things away. It's getting in the flow. It's just it's just wonderful. And if you're doing it with somebody, even better. I mean, it's lovely doing it with the girls because there's so much laughter going on when we're talking. But if I have another friend who gardening is her thing. I mean, yes, she does the painting, but she is gardening, and her garden is spectacular. But she gets so much peace there, and and loses time totally.
Boom. So your hobbies are the thing that allow us to. Hobbies are the thing for me that proves that time doesn't actually exist. And those hobbies, those hobbies might be gardening, they might be building a wall, they might be painting, it might be gliding or diving, or going for a walk, cooking, whatever it is that causes kayaking. Yes, indeed, sea kayak. In fact, kayaking. Yeah, looking forward to getting back to a bit more of that. We lose sense of time, and when we lose sense of time, we drop into alpha brainwaves. We drop into that state that we're actually in when we're asleep, when we're falling asleep. We drop into that state that when people try to meditate, that's where they're trying to get to. Guess what? If you're trying to get there, it ain't going to happen, folks. But if you go out and just enjoy what you're doing, those hobbies, it actually helps our bodies repair. That is the power of having hobbies. I spent most of my career. When I did the wealth matrix in a long time ago when we first created it, I used to score very, very badly for hobbies because I was too busy working and probably, if I'm being honest, drinking. And I didn't have hobbies, and I used excuses as to why I didn't have hobbies. But now that I do recognise the importance, it's why hobbies are so important, I take time for hobbies, whether that is the cooking, the walking, the gliding. When we look forward to kayaking in the future, even two of you in a boat, you can drop into that space. So I think that's the lesson for hobbies is take some time, do some reflecting, look back at the last year and think of those occasions where you lost sense of time. Csikszentmihalyi calls it flow, and he wrote a book called Flow. Have a look for it. Have a listen to it. Oh, I'll tell you what, this week I discovered something new this week. It was really, really cool. And it's a bit daft because I know it's been there and I know other people use it. But if you listen to audiobooks, certainly iBooks, there's a little button in it. There's a little icon in the corner of the screen. It's a one times. Well, that's the speed of the book that you listen to. That's the speed that it's actually recorded at. Well, yesterday I downloaded a book and listened to it at 2 times speed. It's great. It's a 6-hour book and I'm 2/3 of the way through it, having only listened to it for half the time. It's awesome. And it doesn't sound, well, I don't know, do you think it sounds too fast?
For me, it does. But
A little bit Mickey Mouse.
a little bit, yes.
But because I read so quickly, normally when I'm actually reading a book, to be able to listen at double the speed, it's awesome. It's just amazing. I can listen to the same book twice in the time it takes to listen to one book. But you shouldn't be surprised about that because that's what times 2 means. Anyway, I digress, as I often do. Right, you chose this next bit of music. I certainly wouldn't have ever played it again on the radio unless I was told this is my choice. You chose Holiday Express. Why the hell are you going to put us through this again?
Because I'd never heard it till last week, and
That's what we do on this radio show. We bring new stuff to you.
and it's just been in my, ever since I heard the song, I have sung the chorus of it every single day. In fact, a few times during the day.
I thank you for that. We planted the earwig. So we're going to plant that earwig again. It is actually quite a cool song. So here we go. Here is the Hermes House Band with Holiday Express.
All right, here we go, all aboard! Ga-dang-a-dang, 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 ga-dang-a-dang. Whoa-whoa. Ga-dang-a-dang, 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 ga-dang-a-dang. Whoa-whoa. Yeah, we're going on a holiday, a suitcase in our hand. We're heading for gin tonic and the sand. Goodbye to all our friends at home. We're leaving for the sun. You bet we'll have a lot of fun. By bus, by car, by aeroplane. It's only second class. We're gonna have a party on the Holiday Express. Ga-dang-a-dang, 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 ga-dang-a-dang. Whoa-whoa. Ga-dang-a-dang, 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 ga-dang-a-dang. Whoa-whoa. I'm sure that my vacation is the best time of the year. And you know what? The party's starting here. The whistle's going, the DJ has begun. Let's drink and dance and have a lot of fun. By bus, by car, by aeroplane, it's only second class. We're gonna have a party on the Holiday Express. Ga-dang-a-dang, 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 ga-dang-a-dang. Whoa-whoa. Ga-dang-a-dang, 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 ga-dang-a-dang. Whoa-whoa. You can contain with all the people, contain with just a few. No matter if you're black or white. Contain with all the goes so fast. It's funny how time flies. My friends, we have to say goodbye. But there is no reason to feel sad. We're coming back real soon. And you will be here too. By bus, by car, by aeroplane, it's only second class. We're gonna have a party on the Holiday Express. G'dag-a-dang, 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 g'dag-a-dang. G'dag-a-dang, 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 g'dag-a-dang. Hey baby, I love you.
I love you too, honey.
Yeah, but you wanna get dang with me tonight?
Kadang?
Here we go again. G'dag-a-dang, 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 g'dag-a-dang. G'dag-a-dang, 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 g'dag-a-dang. G'dag-a-dang, 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 g'dag-a-dang.
That was Holiday Express. And I think one of the reasons I like that is because since we've moved to the Southern Hemisphere, Christmas is in the summer, and so I struggle a bit to get myself into that Christmas spirit. So I know that's not a Christmas song as such, and it's not a carol, but hearing that sort of thing gets me sort of feeling festive, as does going into the shops because they're playing Christmas music. I don't know how long you need to live in this country to actually start feeling that Christmas and summertime are the same time.
Did it trigger any memories?
Yeah, actually, it made me think of Christmas parties when in the mess when we were in the army. Sort of towards the end of the evening, music like that would be playing, and everybody would be dancing in their long dresses, and yeah.
And maybe a glass of wine had
Maybe
been
a
taken,
glass of
and
wine had
people
been
are
had, so-
pretending to be
Being
trains. Yeah, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, from my perspective, I apologise for sticking that earwig in your ear for the rest of the week. But I'm just going to hand it all over. She said, and there are some times in relationships when you just do what you're told, or not. So you're moving on, and we've touched on this a couple of times when we've been dealing with other pillars. We're going to move into health. Now, health, we sort of throw health out the window sometimes at this time of year. I certainly know that in the olden days, we had so many Christmas parties to attend. I was actually glad that Christmas Day got there and I'd survived, because exercise had gone out the window, the eating had gone up, the drinking had gone up, and it was just, So, the importance of health, or just keeping it front of mind, is, cannot be understated. Big year for you in terms of health.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it all started because I was off work with torn rotator cuff in my from my shoulder. Rather than just sitting, sort of not doing anything, I embarked on a health and wellness coaching course through a company called Precure, and which is all about prevention rather than cure, and sort of getting people to live their most healthy lives.
So why is prevention better than cure?
Well, isn't it better to never be ill or not be ill in the first place rather than treating something, especially as modern medicine means you're given medicines which are actually treating the symptoms rather than curing the disease. So if you can prevent the disease happening in the first place, or the condition happening in the first place, then that's got to be a win-win, both economically and mentally and physically. If you're not ill, then you're going to feel better.
And I think, as Monica Bloom, who was on the show last week, if you listen to the show, if you haven't listened to the show, go back and listen to it. We had a fascinating conversation about Monica's dice with breast cancer this year, and she is an Ayurvedic practitioner, author of a couple of books about Ayurvedic practice, but she's the first person to say Western medicine, modern Western medicine, slow down, has its place in the world. But if we can move away from that and actually look after ourselves better, then we're going to... I mean, I think we had a conversation, and I forget what words you used, but we spend a whole... What was it, about a quarter of our lives we spend ill or uncomfortable, or what's the...
Yeah, I forget what. It's certainly an awful lot of time is spent sort of not being our best or our healthiest. And much as modern medicine and has helped now, and people are living longer than they used to be, it's only worth living longer if you're well. You don't want to live longer and be ill for those last few years. You want to be well during those. So it's not so much just having a long life. You want a healthy life. And what I've learned, well, I always knew that obviously diet was good, exercise was good, but by doing good practices every single day, then that is what makes you sort of resilient to being unwell or being well. And so it does come down to being mindful about what you're eating. There's no getting around it. If you feel yourself with rubbish, you're going to feel rubbish.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are eating good healthy food, you are going to feel good and healthy, and your body's got the right nutrients in it to fuel it for the day sustainably.
So I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here, possibly, not for the first time in the last 90 minutes. When you see the adverts on the TV all of the time, and one of the cheapest ways to fill a family is to go to a fast food restaurant or get fast food takeaway. And look, I mean, I realise that to go and get a family box for $25 gives everyone a meal. So how can we, if we're on a budget, how can we move towards more healthy eating, recognising that actually there is a cheap option, but it's not good for us? Better than it used to be, but not as good for as it could be. What can we do?
Well, I suppose it's shopping wisely. It's asking for help as well. There will be people there who do wish to help you, and most people have access to the internet and things, so that they can Google good healthy food. And have a burger, absolutely no problem, but buy them and cook them at home so you know how they're being cooked. Look carefully at maybe the bread rolls or something that you're buying, because I know somewhere, and I forget which chain
don't mention them anyway.
I wouldn't but I wouldn't. But one of them, their bread can't actually be classified as bread because there's too much sugar in it.
Yeah,
it's actually
it's a fast food chain, but it's actually specifically in the US. It's that chain is here in New Zealand, but I believe the issues with the US with the US franchise of that company. One thing that's I don't know why we learned it. It may have been because of your lockdown and the like. Frozen veg.
Yeah, absolutely. Frozen veg is it's picked and it's frozen, so it's still got so many more of its nutrients are still in it. And actually, sometimes frozen veg can be far healthier than stuff that's been in the bottom of the fridge for a week or two.
Yep, and it's also cheaper.
Yeah.
So if you're on that budget and you look at, and look, I mean, your fruit and veg is expensive, and I mean, it never fails to believe to astound me that you can pay nearly $5 for a red pepper, and then other parts of the year it's 99 cents. And look, I get it. It's because we live seasonally, but we don't shop seasonally. We want stuff all of the time, but if you can go, there's nothing wrong with frozen veg. I was always of the view that not frozen veg, not at all. You don't do that sort of thing. Some canned veg, so do have a look. You can pick up good food for not so expensive, and you can then learn to cook in bulk. Therefore, you can eke it out. As ever with these things, we're going to have to miss a track. I think we're flying through this because we do this all the time when we do live Q&A for the Rediscovering Resilience program. We both do. I mean, we generally do it from different places, and we jump on the calls early. And we normally have a 5-minute conversation about some really, really in-depth stuff when we're looking at each other on the other side of the screen. And I think as we've done this show together, it's sort of warmed up a little bit. Right, we're going to try and do something different for this next track. It is now the 10th of December. The 10th of December means that Christmas is only just over 2 weeks away. And yeah, that means that there's absolutely no reason at all why we shouldn't be playing Christmas music. Now, a friend of the show, Steve Carling, we tried to get him back on a show in the lead up to Christmas. We actually tried to get him on for next week, which is Garrison Christmas Party Week. Get next week's show. We've got Padre Clive coming back on, and we're going to talk about how Christmas is celebrated in the British Army and play some great music, some good fun music as well. We're trying to get Steve on, but his calendar is, he is just very, very busy with lots of concerts, lots of singing engagements. So if you get the chance to go and see Steve singing anything, but if you get the chance to see him singing Christmas, then please do actually go out and listen to him. Absolutely fantastic. What he did do, though, was Steve has recorded his own Christmas track, and he has shared it with me here, and I'm going to try and play it off my phone, and hopefully it will work. So here we go. Here's the attempt. Here's Steve.
Gather round, young and old, be it warm or it cold. It's a wonderful time to be leaving behind all your troubles. I can feel what you say, time stands still in a way. The streets are empty of all but laughter and play. It's that feeling you get when it's Christmas. It's friends and family time, a cup of good warm wine, a toast to love and good health, while the children sleep well with their wishes. It may be cold outside, but it's warm in your heart. It will be snowing all night, the best of seasons start. It's that time when you get the feeling you get when it's Christmas. It's everywhere around, it's spreading over town, and once again we found that feeling you get when it's Christmas. Chimney tops underglow.
Oops, that's what happens when you touch your phone and you're playing it through your phone. My apologies. That was Steve Carling. What a great track, written by Steve, and the music would have been put together with with some support of the guys that help him with his orchestra. What a great track. So I crashed it. Look, we'll play it again next week. My apologies to Steve. We'll play it again next week. But far better. We saw Steve live earlier on in the year. What did you think?
Oh, it was awesome. It's just so wonderful listening to music live.
Yeah, totally. We last Saturday... I haven't spoken to you since we went to the theatre last Saturday. We went to see Andre Rieu's Christmas extravaganza. We'd been to see him at the theatre. You can't go and see these things at the moment in New Zealand, but they recorded a show that was done in the Maastricht Events Centre. This place is huge. It holds more people than Westpac Stadium. And all of these people were in there listening to the orchestra music. And what did the guy in our audience at the cinema? What did he say at the end of it all? Has anyone not got a smile on their face?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I thought for a while we were the youngest in the cinema until a family with a young boy came in. But it was just awesome, and it was just, yeah.
The power of music. We spoke when we were talking about hobbies. When you lose track of time, music has the same effect. Whatever your choice of music is. I read this week that the future king of the Commonwealth and King of New Zealand, Prince William. His favourite track to go to, his favourite band to go to when he needs to get some work done is AC/DC. Doesn't matter what your choice is, start listening to music. I actually enjoy listening to music as I'm driving. It gives you memories that take you back to, and certainly the last track that we're going to play today takes me back to a memory that I have just remembered, a moment of silliness at a military party in the past. Look, we are rapidly running out of time for today's show. I just want to touch on one aspect, because this is probably, this is all about resilience. Everything we've spoken about today is about becoming more resilient, whether it's working on your hobbies, getting some hobbies, whether it's working on your health, understanding your finances, understanding your relationships, close ones, friends and family. All of that is so important in order to become, to rediscover our resilience. And it's all a part of personal development. And that's the last subject that we're going to cover today. One of the pillars, another of the pillars of the wealth matrix that we teach at Rediscovering Resilience. Personal development, Lizzie, where are you at with it?
Oh, it's been a huge year.
Do share, I know.
Well, deciding to no longer be a practicing midwife took a long, long time. I think you must be quite, bald, with hair falling out at frustration with me of, was I going to do it, wasn't I going to do it?
It was about 18 months.
It took a long
toing
time.
and froing, and I think even now we sometimes wobble.
Yeah. Definitely. It was part of my life for such a long time. For a long time, I thought that was me. I was Liz. I was the midwife.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, it doesn't define me. I am me, and I can be what I choose. And I have decided that I have decided to step back from being a practicing midwife. I will always be a midwife in my heart, and I'm always going to enjoy those midwifery stories and feel passionate for those who are embarking on that journey themselves now. But for me, it was time to do something different. And so my personal development has been changing the books that I'm reading and becoming more, just getting more into this coaching and getting used to hearing myself speak in public, which has been one of the hardest things. It's very different being in a room in a very private environment with a couple having their baby to talking to a group of people.
Or like the thousands of people that tune into the Resilience Show. You're doing a grand job.
They can't see me.
They can, you're on the telly.
One of the hardest things I think was hearing my voice back. What I hear when I'm speaking sounds quite different to when I hear myself back. But so personal development is enjoying the different books that I'm reading.
And how does it looking back, because that's what the show's about today, looking back over that transitional period, how does it feel now compared to the gnashings of teeth and tears as you were trying to make the decision? How does it feel now that you're in this new space?
I feel a lot calmer, and I feel I feel where I should be. I feel like I'm making my own music.
Oh, wow. Okay, I love that. We're not playing it again. Yeah, totally. And I think you're really fascinating for me is that the first exercise that a new student or a new client does when they join Rediscovering Resilience is the 16 personalities, which is a Myers-Briggs personality test. Don't worry about it. Have a look at Mr. Google. Other search engines are available, but go and have a look at you may have been asked to do these sort of tests when you've applied for a job or something. But generally we keep our personality type. You move through life and your personality type generally stays the same. And Lizzie, you have always been a mediator.
Yeah.
And I've been married to a mediator for 25 years, and I liked being married to a mediator. And when we did a big group workshop, and Lizzie redid her 16 personalities. And what have you become?
Protagonist.
A bloody protagonist, and has she? But what I've recognised is that, that's interesting. That's maybe why there's been far more interesting conversations. And your education has gone through the roof this year. You've done your personal development course. You've done your health and wellness coaching course. But the books you read have changed, and the conversations we're having are different, and that's caused your personality to shift. That's monumentous, guys. That's the opportunity. That's what personal development does for us. If we move away from self-esteem and move into that self-concept of who could I be, we can change the world. And this is the point in the show that you'd think, oh, what tracks are you going to play with Change the World? Nothing about it. This is the song that when I hear it for the first time, I know that Christmas is just around the corner. It is a song that takes me back to many, many happy experiences in the military. But this one, when this one's played, I know it's Christmas time.
It was Christmas Eve, babe, in the drunk tank. An old man said to me, won't see another one. And then he sang a song, the rare old mountain tune. I turned my face away and dreamed about you. Got on a lucky one, came in 18 to 1. I've got a feeling this year's for me and you. So happy Christmas, I love you, baby. I can see a better time when all our dreams come true.
They got cars big as bars, they got rivers of gold, but the windows right through you, it's no place for the old. When you first took my hand on a cold Christmas Eve, you promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome,
You were pretty queen of New York City. When the band finished playing, they held out for more.
Sinatra was swinging, all the drunk folk were singing. We kissed on the corner, then danced through the night. The boys of the NYPD choir were singing, go away, babe. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day. You're a bum, you're a punk,
You're an old slut and junk lying there almost dead on a drip in that bed.
you scumbag, you maggot, you cheap, lousy faggot. Happy Christmas, you're ours, I pray God it's our love.
The boys of the NYPD choir still singing, go away, babe. And the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. I could have been someone.
Well, so could anyone. You took my dreams from me when I first found you.
I kept them with me, babe. I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I built my dreams around you. The boys of the NYPD choir still singing, go away, babe. And the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day.
The Pogues, Fairy Tale of New York. I remember doing an Irish jig to that, and my regimental sergeant major, not the one who named the Lady Elizabeth, another one, just standing in disbelief that one of the most senior officers in the battalion could actually do an Irish jig and was willing to do it in front of all the soldiers. But hey, that's what Christmas is about. Thank you for joining us on today's show. You really, really enjoyed it. The Lady Elizabeth, enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it actually more than I thought I would.
So would you do it again?
Probably.
Oh, okay. So if you've enjoyed this show, you let us know. You get in touch. Drop it in on Messenger or stuartdarling.com. Have a listen to the not the webcast. Have a listen to the podcast, Rediscovering Resilience. You can find it if you just Google Rediscovering Resilience. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. And what a show. What have we learned? Dedicated to all those who are looking back to see where they have come from. It's important. Looking back to see how far we have come is a great way of reviewing the year and giving us the little hints and tips for what 2020 might have in store. 2020, let's look forward to as a year where 2022, I've just been reminded, that's why we have wives. 2022, look forward, see the hints, take control of 2022 now, take control of our lives, live a life of self-concept rather than self-esteem, and we will all grow. And by the time we get to the end of 2022, you'll be looking back, remembering this show, thinking, the Lady Elizabeth was amazing, and I have moved such a long way since I first listened to her on the radio. I'll see you next week.